Howdy folks, I'm Charismatic Champy, chaotically chasing creepy curmudgeons.
I'm Amber.
And here are more creepy curmudgeons for us to chase, because what better way to fight fire with fire than to chase the creepy people? Let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Transferring a Website After Getting Fired from the Family Business? The history is very involved and goes back 13 years, so I'll add some context to try and make the situation as clear as possible. I met my adopted parents when I was 19 years old, and they really took me in and helped raise me as a young adult. So when they decided to start a company 8 years ago, I helped them build it up from the ground up, handling all the technicalities and business side of things like licensing, insurance, marketing, etc. I also built a very extensive website for the company on my own time, as by this time I had started my own small-scale freelance marketing company as well. In the 8 years that followed, the business grew a lot. I got married and I had 2 children, so backed away from the freelance work and began working from home solely for the business. All customers' correspondence via phone and email, and scheduling appointments and projects, and maintaining licenses and insurance, and managing on-site crews and progress, taking payments, receipts, invoicing, and reviewing all the project bids for accuracy, as they wanted to keep things old school. They paid me for 3 days a week, but the workload was a full-time job due to the growth in the business, to where I was often working until 3, sometimes even 5 a.m., including on my quote-unquote days off, and always quote-unquote on call, answering phones, calls, text, all days and hours. Well, my husband had joined the company about 6 years ago and eventually was working 12 plus hours a day, 6 days a week, as a foreman and project estimator, which he often had to do the tasks for even while he was home and also on call. He would be scheduled for appointments 2 to 3 days a week, sometimes driving 300 miles in one day, and the other days would lead as a foreman on projects usually at least 50 miles away. All business expenses were covered individually, meaning only personal vehicles and cell phones were used. Gas, business, insurance, tools, etc. came out of the pocket of us, including all office supplies, marketing subscriptions on my end. On top of that, if any quote-unquote mistake was made on site, resolving it would be on personal time as well as taken out of our check, even if the mistake was made by a crew member, as the foreman is still considered responsible. Well, fast forward 6 months ago, my quote-unquote adopted parents asked me to come over for a meeting, which ended up being to discuss my husband's work performance. Keep in mind, I was his direct manager and took that role very seriously, and am the only one that's been legitimately business-minded in all of this. While he did have some issues in the beginning, he got to a point where he was great at his job, but severely overworked. At some point, they pointed out that my husband would never find a job that would keep him around and have him making what he does, at which point I mentioned that they don't pay us as well as they think they did. And they were offended beyond belief that I would even suggest that, and let me know that Friday would be my last day, and good luck finding anyone else who will pay you for what we do, and stay home with your children. Subsequently, my husband would also be done working there after 30 days. I did try to get them to extend the time a week or more to be able to train the people replacing me as well enough. But they were adamant that I didn't actually do all that much, and none of it was hard. I spent the rest of the week putting together informational data sheets to make the transition as seamless as possible, and always helped any time they needed something in the following weeks, even though they and the whole family have now cut us off entirely outside of business questions. The website was something that I had always maintained on my own time and dime, as a way to sow into my adopted parents and the company, and it was agreed that I would continue maintaining it even though I wasn't working there anymore. They've now decided to have the oldest son take over the marketing and the website, so asked me to transfer it over to him. The problem is that the website is so complex and really just beautiful representation of my abilities, and the only one on my portfolio like it. And after getting let go, I turned my focus to freelance work, and if I transferred the site from my LLC at this point, it would be a massive hit to my own business. I explained to the owner that I can leave the website up for their son to copy and paste everything over, but he would just need to rebuild it on his end, as I can't duplicate it. I will also transfer the domain, which itself is valued more than $1,000, just to make the transition easier for them. They are incredibly upset with the idea, though, because the son doesn't know how to do all of that, which I understand, and I did offer to come and teach them how to do everything, but of course they don't want to do that because they operate the business out of their home, and I'm no longer welcome there. I'm not sure how else I could possibly handle this without sacrificing my own freelance work and having to start from scratch. I don't want to make things difficult for them, and I do feel that I'm being more than fair by the options that I've given them, especially considering the way that I've been treated throughout the whole ordeal. But I'm still questioning if maybe I need to transfer it over and accept the loss. So, to my Reddit judges, am I the jerk for not having gone that route in the first place? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, absolutely not the jerk. OP, they have been exploiting you at every turn. Just don't help them anymore, period.
Sell the website to them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would say at this point in time. Like, don't transfer the website to them for free. Don't give them the website that you've been maintaining on your own dime and as part of your portfolio. Tell them that the website is for sale for $10,000 or they can pay you to maintain it. Plain and simple, right? Like, this is completely absurd that they're doing this to you, and it's time that OP actually plays hardball with these people. I understand like it can be hard to be divorced from a situation like this, but it sounds like OP is still kind of living in denial that this is happening, right? They're cutting OP out of their lives, whether OP wants that or not. And all the work that they put into this business is, not theirs anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it would be better if OP, not transfer things over gracefully,
Mm-hmm.
just give them say, well, you know what, I'm not going to, since you fired me, I'm quitting, and tell the husband to quit too. Don't even take the 30 days. Go and find another job and do that, right? So I don't know. I think that at this point in time, burning bridges and showing them what they are, how hard things are going to be without them, it's probably the best course of action, because this is just completely unconscionable on their parts.
Yeah, well, it is. And they've been exploiting OP for a very, very long time. Like, you're not being paid adequately for the work you're doing, the way they've been punishing OP and her husband. Like, these people never cared about you. They only cared about what you could do for them. And so I understand that it's hard, it hurts. Sophie feels like she's hurting them, but they are just bad people.
Yeah.
And they hurt themselves by hurting you.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And stock adhesiveness, 351 says, sounds like they treated you like a doormat. You finally called them out on treating you like a doormat, and then subsequently stayed a doormat for them. Why? And OP replies, it wasn't an immediate cutoff, more of a situation where they stayed cordial until they didn't think they had any questions left. The only reason I've continued to maintain the site is because I do care about them and the business, and have known that if I shut it down before they're ready, it would cripple them. If the business goes under, I don't want to leave any room for the possibility to say that it was because of something that I did out of spite. I mean, I don't think OP has to worry about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they've shot themselves in the foot. Like, unless you sabotage them, right? Like, if OP went out of their way to sabotage them or cook the books or something like that, then, like, sure, that wouldn't be the right thing to do. But withholding their website and saying, pay me for the work that I've done here, then, isn't sabotaging them or doing anything out of spite. It's being paid fairly for the work you've done.
Mm-hmm.
And Ultra Visitor 2000 says, you keep saying you care about them, but why do you care about them? It's clear to everyone else here that they only cared for you as long as they could use you. They do not respect you. They are not going to respect you. And OP replies, I understand that, but I still do want the best for them. I poured my whole life, or at least 13 years of it, into them and making this business successful, and it's been hard enough to come out on the other side realizing that I wasted every second of that time. The idea of it tanking now, after all the blood, sweat, and tears that I put into it, would just add to the disappointment. I mean, I think that OP is suffering from a bad case of sunk cost fallacy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for telling my boyfriend that if he can't be quiet during the day, that he can't use my car for work? So first of all, I'm 100% aware of how controlling the title sounds, but it's not like that, so please read. We are both 26 and we've been together for 6 years. We are not married. About 6 months ago, we decided to move across the country. We know no one here and have no help. His car had various transmissions issues that were too expensive to fix, so we sold that car and share one between the two of us. It's a car that I purchased recently. I pay the note and the insurance 100% by myself. He uses it more than I do, considering that he uses it for work. He's a laborer, and I have a full-time work-from-home position. We talked about this before we moved and decided that since my field has a lot of work-from-home opportunity, that I would do that until we have 2 vehicles again. Well, when we first got together, it was the other way around, and I didn't have a car, but we both worked in person. I would often end up laying outside of my work for hours before we opened so that we would both be able to go into work, and I'm not willing to go back to that. Well, anyways, both of our hours are typically 8 to 5. However, he likes to take days off for various reasons, whether he's sick, taking a mental health day, etc. And that's fine. Except he plays video games for hours on these days, and it's incredibly loud. I mean, yelling things that are not appropriate, super loud. We have a 2-bedroom apartment. 1 bedroom we sleep in, and the other is our office and gaming room. I am worried that this would be a problem, but he kept assuring me that it wouldn't be. But when he's home during the workday, which is once or twice a month, he can't keep quiet. He tries, but he doesn't, and isn't willing to stay away from games until I'm done with work. I feel bad asking him to be quiet during my work hours, and I've suggested him moving his desk into the living area where there's more space between our desks set up, but he isn't willing to do that either. I would, but quite frankly, we're low income, and I don't think that I'm comfortable with the background that it would provide me for work. My job is call/video chat oriented, so it's imperative that we find a solution, but nothing I suggest works. This is my first good job, and I don't want to lose it. My boss has confronted me about the noise multiple times now. Fortunately, my management is understanding, and instead of firing me, they said that if I don't have a quiet place for work, I'm welcome to come into the office. I don't want to lose my job, as I wouldn't be able to contribute to our household costs or pay for my car. So after speaking with my boss yesterday, I sat down with my boyfriend and I explained the situation. He said that he shouldn't have to be quiet in his own home and that it's his space too. I agreed, but I reminded him that I'm not asking him to be quiet for me, but for my job. He said that he's been more quiet. I reminded him that we've been over this multiple times, and that is his response every single time, and nothing changes. So I told him that if he can't stay away from games Monday through Friday, 8 through 5, that I would return to work in person, and he would have to depend on Ubers and coworkers to get him home and work. He said that he doesn't feel like that's fair or reliable. I think it is. I don't know what other suggestions I can possibly make or what I can do about this. We are a team, and in this economy, neither one of us can afford to live alone. We have a great relationship, but I feel like we've hit a wall on this one. Am I the jerk? Am I being unreasonable? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, absolutely not the jerk. OP, it doesn't care if you lose your job just so he can be loud. Like, he is choosing to be loud while you are working. He could go elsewhere to play his games.
Yeah.
But he doesn't value you or your labor or what you do for the household. And
Yeah.
he is willing to risk your job so he can keep doing what he's doing. Frankly, I know you can't afford to live anywhere else. I know you can't afford to live alone right now, but I would, if I were you, start exploring other housing options and start reevaluating this relationship if he cares so little about you that he is willing to cost you your job.
Yeah. I wonder if there's like an internet cafe or like a gaming rooms that they can rent, because some places do have like stuff like that still, right? And if he can have like rent a room for a day where he can go and play video games, then that might just be worth it, right? But I think he isn't looking at the whole big picture here, right? He's correct. This is his house, and he can be, he should be able to be loud in his own house to some extent, right? However, this is a shared space, right? And so while OP is also entitled in their own home to a quiet workplace that they agreed to, right? This isn't a unilateral decision that OP's making. It's something that they both agreed to ahead of time, and he's breaking the end of his contract. He agreed verbally to be quiet, and he isn't. So the solution here that OP is offering up is perfectly reasonable, right? I'm going to go into work and get my own office if you can't be quiet because my job depends on it.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Is like Opie has given two options. Like he doesn't even have to stop being loud on his days off,
Mm-hmm.
but then he's gonna have to find his own transportation. But he wants to have his cake and eat it too. He wants to have the car so he can go wherever he wants, whenever he wants, but also be loud and make Opie lose her job.
Yeah. So no, I don't think that OP is being unreasonable here at all. I think they've offered some very reasonable solutions, and I think the boyfriend is the one who's acting unreasonable here. And I mean, it's an unfortunate situation because it sounds like it's probably going to come to a head where just the relationship breaks if he
Mm-hmm.
isn't willing to compromise on this, right? But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Artistic Tough 7764 says, you need to talk to each other and maybe start with a checking in to see how things are going and figure out how to come to a solid agreement to make this work for both of you. You have come up with a reasonable solution and you should be okay, but why do you think that he's a teammate if he's not supportive of your contributions and making the team work? And OP replies, I guess because prior to us moving and me starting to work from home, he was a fantastic teammate. We worked together on everything. He really was a great teammate. And after reading all these comments, it made me feel a little bit like it's resentment because he wants to work from home, which would be fine with me, but like I said, he's a laborer, and that's all of his experience and skills. It's been difficult for him to find a work from home job with that experience, and I'm in a spot where it makes it hard because I don't want him to resent me when I don't care about working from home that much to begin with. I mean, if this is a resentment thing, then I mean, that's on him.
Right. He has to deal with his feelings. He can be frustrated that his job is not one he can work from home for. And he could even work toward building skills to get a work from home job at some point. But he should not be taking this out on his partner.
Yeah. Well, and the thing that's really boggling here is that OP's even said, well, I'm going to drive into work. Then if this is, well, he has to make a choice. Is his resentment worth, finding rides to work? I mean, until he can buy a car, or what is it, right? I mean, it just seems like he is really he's putting himself in a no-win situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Brief Horror says, so you're being with a guy who picks sabotage as a valid way to express jealousy? And OP replies, I never even considered it like that. And Internal Student 997 says, how exactly does he think a laborer would work from home? Telekinesis? And OP replies, he says that he wants to find a job doing voice acting or something with computers. He's talented and I'm not even opposed to it, but it's obviously a hard sector to break into, and he doesn't want to put in the unpaid time to get there, so I don't know. Okay, well, the thing is this, a lot of those kind of industries do require unpaid labor for you to break into them, right? Not necessarily computers, but if he wants to do voice acting, then he's going to have to put his voice out there and actually start to do voice acting. Like maybe he can start a Fiverr account where he can get paid from people and do voice acting like that, right? It's not going to be a lot of money, and it's not going to be able to be his full-time job, at least not for a while, but it might be able to be something that he can do. And unfortunately, with voice acting, a lot of places are now switching over to AI robot voices. And so voice acting is going to be even harder to get into because people aren't willing to pay voice actors now because they can pay a robot to be expressive.
Which, I mean, that is horrible the way it's panning out. But yeah, unfortunately, the reality is right now, a lot of companies are trying to cut costs wherever they can. And that means not paying people and having robots you don't have to pay.
Yeah. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
What might you call a football player who's always cracking jokes during games?
I would call a football player who's always cracking jokes during games a soccer player.
A punter.
Kind of similar.
And it's Abet and Aid Punsters Day.
Ooh.
So just doing my civic duty here.
Amber is doing her civic duty. And I have the special guest tea, some matcha. Alright, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy spectacular Saturday, folks. I hope your Saturday is off to a spectacular start. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it on jobs.
Don't exploit people and don't sabotage people. And if your job hinges on doing those things, then find a different job.
Yeah. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.